Uba patu konchi. Tong nong bong shang yung yang. Tong patok smakdelia. Yatuka ulwan kinkuna ba murira. Rachikun. Mucha shakpangpa. La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wanakun bes jingpa marulira. Tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja murira rabes. Ojo hapanki. Wanakun bes dobiki kunyana. Tong patok smakdelia. Tiska du sukiku ba na bona na kachu. Ang tuwing ko tu. Topa da bungkwalya gando nago chuchut. Kabachi kuita hotonga. Yala mo inkapun. Jiloba mulira ni bobo. Wango kupes kakang. Ba mamarulira. Kuyabi jusku na jitanay. Ina kun ba marulira rachikun. Slimo patona. Mundi hodonga chihongabi. Jawana bota ayu at tahonga chakanki dora. Kachi kuita hodonga. Topa da bungkwalya gando do nago chuchut. Musha papangpa. Bola wana chikne. Pamuli slemo poda wanga kun bes mulira rabes. Kuyabi jusku na jitanay. Ina kun ba marulira rachikun. Slimo patona. Mundi hodonga chihongabi. La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wanakun bes jingpa marulira. Tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja mulira rabes. Uba patu konchi. Tong nong bong shang yung yang. Tong patok smakdelia. Yatuka ulwan kinkuna ba murira. Rachikun. Mucha shakpangpa. La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wanakun bes jingpa marulira. Tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja mulira rabes. Kuyabi jusku na jitanay. Ina kun ba marulira rachikun. Slimo patona. Mundi hodonga chihongabi. La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wanakun bes jingpa marulira. Tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja mulira rabes. Kuyabi jusku na jitanay. Ina kun ba marulira rachikun. Slimo patona. Mundi hodonga chihongabi. Jawana bota ayu at tahonga chakanki dora. Kachi kuita hodonga. Topa da bungkwalya gando do nago chuchut. Musha papangpa. Bola wana chikne. Pamuli slemo poda wanga kun bes mulira rabes. Kuyabi jusku na jitanay. Ina kun ba marulira rachikun. Slimo patona. Mundi hodonga chihongabi. Jawana bota ayu at tahonga chakanki dora. Kachi kuita hodonga. Topa da bungkwalya gando do nago chuchut. Musha papangpa. Bola wana chikne. Pamuli slemo poda wanga kun bes mulira rabes. Uba patu konchi. Tong nong bong shang yung yang. Tong patok smakdelia. La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wanakun bes jingpa marulira. Tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja mulira rabes.
Oh, my head. This kind of pain brings back memories. I haven't felt this bad since Figaro 6, and that's saying something. What is this, some sort of reunion? Mechanique, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be on the Orion, doing what mechanics do and fixing things?
Uba patu konchi. Tong nong bong shang yung yang. Tong patok smakdelia.
That's great, that really is. You're joking, right? Please tell me you're joking.
La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wanakun bes jingpa marulira. Tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja mulira rabes.
I knew things were going to get worse once I left with Captain Drexel after the mutiny, but not this bad. His successor must have been one lousy captain. Where is Sarah Dagana? Last thing I remember, she was confronting Solomon. I don't like him. He knows more about me than he has any right to. Wait just a minute, Jedi. First, I want some answers. I want the truth. Sarah Dagana is a dark Jedi. That I already know, but not just an ordinary dark Jedi. There's something special about her, isn't there? And the same can be said about you. There's a secret you're hiding. You're not just another Jedi, are you? How does a Jedi become so friendly with a Dark Jedi? Why are all the crew members on the Orion dead? And who is this Solomon guy? And why does he have such an interest in Sarah Dagana? Bad news and me go way back. I'm used to dealing with it. I take it back. I take it back! I'm used to dealing with bad news, but this is on a whole different level. You're Revan? The same Revan who defeated the Mandalorians? Who betrayed the Republic and created the Sith Empire? How is that possible? What of this Brotherhood of Shadow? You say there's some kind of ancient Sith cult? And they were the ones responsible for killing the crew members of the Orion? And Sarah Dagana, or the person I had come to know was Sarah Dagana. Is everything you said about her true? Was she really your personal assassin? Is she really responsible for the deaths of so many people? This Jedi, this Solomon, so he was once Sarah Dagana's Jedi Master before you turned her into a Sith. But then maybe this Solomon doesn't want to hurt Sarah Dagana after all. Maybe he just wants to bring her back to the Jedi. Considering you are the former Dark Lord of the Sith, don't take it too personal if I don't completely trust you, okay? But one thing's for certain, we can't let Solomon resurrect this Brotherhood of Shadow. I won't allow what happened on the Orion to be repeated.
Laboda ni winkies mactoma. Wanakun best jingpama rulira. Tok jingbang non kek. Tok ninja mira rabes.
What about you? You're a mechanic, aren't you? Don't you have any ideas on how to deactivate a force cage from the inside or something?
Ubapatu kochi. Tong nongbong shang yungyang. Tong katok smakdelia.
That stupid droid has a name. He's called Mechanique. You just gave me an idea. Verbal. He's still waiting for us outside the temple, remember? If I can get in contact with him, he might be able to make his way to this room and then deactivate the force cages for us. When I traveled on the Orion, the folk and places we visited weren't always friendly to outsiders. After you've spent a few nights in a prison cell next to what remains of the last guy who made your mistake, you'll learn a thing or two about the importance of having a backup plan if things don't go your way. Here's a little thing I like to keep hidden for a situation like this. This device will allow me to communicate with another using a special untraceable signal. And naturally, attached to Verbal's frame is a receiver for that signal. This should allow me to open a channel of communication between us. Pretty clever, huh? If Verbal stays out of sight, he might be able to get here without causing a commotion. His legs have been modified to grant him an increased speed of movement, so I'd say his chances are pretty favorable.
Ubapatu kochi. Tong nongbong shang yungyang. Tong katok smakdelia.
Don't worry, I have no plans on leaving Sarah Dagana in this place by herself, and intend to do whatever I can to rescue her. Verbal, come in, over. Verbal, come in. Do you respond, over. Verbal, come in. Answer me, you stupid droid. Verbal, come in, over. Verbal, come in. Do you respond? Over. Verbal, come in. Answer me, you stupid droid.
Master, you startled me again. I thought I had made it perfectly clear that you were to cease such carelessness in the future.
This isn't the time, Verbal. Listen to me. We've been captured and we've been imprisoned somewhere within the temple. We need you to rescue us.
Rescue you? But Master, I am a droid programmed to aid in communication and reconnaissance. I do not know how to rescue you.
Verbal, I don't have the time or the patience to argue with you. You need to get yourself into the temple, find us, access a control terminal, and shut down the force cages.
Master, you should know better than to place your trust in a strange computer. How can you determine that this terminal in question is the one responsible for the operation of the force cages?
Verbal, get yourself into the temple and rescue us! But be careful. I have a feeling that some crazies from the residential level will still be around somewhere. Avoid combat at all costs and sneak past anyone between yourself and my location. I'm counting on you, Verbal. Kobayashi out.
Master, when will you ever learn? Unless my photoreceptors are malfunctioning, this doesn't look like a very pleasant place to be imprisoned in. Master is located somewhere within the vicinity. I must locate him. I have located a key. I must use it to unlock the detention room so that I can free Master.
Verbal! I knew you could make it here.
Master, there you are. My sensors indicate that your temperature has rose and your heart rate has quickened. Are you being affected by the presence of the false cage? Are you suffering from claustrophobia?
I'm not suffering from claustrophobia, I just don't like being stuck in such a small space. Now hurry up and release us. Access the terminal.
I overload my circuits with worry for you, Master. I really do.
That's much better. About time I got some space to move around a little. Make sure you grab your gear before we head out. It's bound to be around here somewhere. Are you fully equipped? I can only see it getting hairy from here on out, and I don't think you'll get another chance. I figured a former Republic war hero turned Dark Lord of the Sith wouldn't need much time to get prepared for battle. Guess I was right.
Kuyabi juskuna jitanai. Ina kun mama rulira rachikun. Slimo padona. Rundi hadonga chihonkabi.
For a mechanic, you do an awful lot of thinking.
What are you so afraid of, Mechanique? Don't you remember all those adventures we had on the Orion? Don't you remember how many times we got ourselves in and out of situations like this?
Uba batu konchi. Tom nongbong shang yung yang. Tom katok smaktelia.
So what is our next move? Where do we go from here? And don't forget Sarah Dagana. She saved my neck more than a few times on the Orion, and now it's time for me to repay the favor.
Kuyabi juskuna jitanai. Ina kun mama rulira rachikun. Slimo padona. Rundi hadonga chihonkabi. Yeah.
Sarah, Sarah, it's me, Kobayashi. We've come to rescue you, to get you out of this awful place. Sarah, Sarah Dagana, come on, girl, answer me. Look at me, anything.
Yatuka ulwan kinkuna ba murira, rachikun. Mucha shakpampa, jawana bota ayua tahonga chakanki dora. Kachikuita hodonga. Topa da bunkwalya gando do nano chutchut. Muksha papampa, polawana chikne. Bamuli slemo, poda wanga kun bes mulira rabes.
She in a trance or something? What has Solomon done to her?
Uba batu konchi. Tong nong bong shang yung yang. Tong katok smack delia.
I don't care about your stupid treasure, Hanik. I'm here for Sarah. I'm here to rescue her, and I'm going to do just that. It's time to get out of this place and back to a world where things make sense.
Tragic, isn't she? She was once my pupil, my protege. I rescued her from a life of insignificance and then gave her calling a purpose. Many years did she spend under my tutelage, learning, training, and honing the skills that would see her through any trials that life would pose to her. She was once on a path that would have shaped her into a mighty warrior, fit to be called a living embodiment of what my people, the Ichani, embrace as principle, as tradition. Yet that destiny, the destiny she had trained all her life to meet, was not to be. She was deceived, manipulated, and then shaped into a tool of war by a force beyond her understanding. This woman, she once had a name, Shauna May. The same Shauna May who you, Revan, stripped of her history, her culture, her identity. The same Shauna May who you, Revan, transformed into an instrument of your will. The same Shauna May who you, Revan, stole from me. And now the two of us finally have come face to face without distraction. Welcome, Revan. Welcome to the Chamber of Shadow. Surely you must have known that this confrontation was inevitable. It was a judgment decided when you chose to destroy the woman who was once my Padawan. Since my death at Terrace, all of what was important to me has been rendered meaningless. No longer do I care for the fates of the Jedi, the Republic, or the galaxy. I only care to pursue the single undeniable calling that fate has thrust towards me. To destroy you and all the depravities that your manipulations have spawned. It is a calling that drives me. It is a calling that has empowered me. And it is a calling that will serve to vindicate me for my failure at Terrace. To destroy you, Revan, it will be my revenge. And the Brotherhood of Shadow are the key to attaining that revenge. I will revive them, and I will use them as tools to destroy you and your empire of Sith. But before we settle our score, I sense you lack fulfillment. You lack answers. I wish only to fight you when you are at your best, so ask and I will answer. Shauna May, the one who I created, the one who you destroyed. You are wrong. Shauna May was my pupil, not the shell I see before me. I act to deliver a rightful vengeance to who she once was, not what she has since become. Do not underestimate her usefulness. Like you, she is an essential part of the resurrection process for the Brotherhood of Shadow. And she has proved a useful tool to lure you here. The remnants of our bond allowed her to determine a great many things, including my presence on Korriban and the movements I have made across it. By pure chance, I acquired information detailing the crew members which served upon the stolen Republic ship you know as the Orion. One of those crew members was a female Twi'lek named Sarah Degana. Sarah Degana is an anagram of Anaget Eris, an ancient Ichani queen that is said to be the one most responsible for modern-day Ichani culture. At the height of a rule which saw significant cultural expansion, she was betrayed by those closest to her and banished from Ichani territories to live the rest of her life on foreign worlds. Shauna May, although not Ichani by birth, was considered to be one in spirit, and thus was well versed in the culture and histories of my people. Although I find it curious as to why she chose that as her alias. After Terrace, I was under the impression that she cared little for her people's culture anymore. Having already been weakened as a result of the ritual process, she was not in the best of conditions to learn of the truth behind your grand manipulation of her. Broken by these revelations, she has since been consumed by the dark side energies that infest this chamber. I doubt anyone, least of all you, will be able to reach her through the hatred and self-loathing I sense she now feels. Ask, and I will answer. Once I was a revered member of the Jedi Order that died, only to be born anew, a greater being. When I fought and defeated Shauna May during what is now called the Second Battle of Terrace, I made the mistake of underestimating the ferocity of the retreating Mandalorians. When they destroyed the walkway beneath my feet, I plunged into the darkness, leaving everything of significance behind forever. When I awoke, I was defeated. I was broken. I was alone. Trapped beneath what seemed like a mountain of rubble, I was forced to enter into a meditation to slowly heal my broken body. In this slumber, I became unaware of the events that transpired in the galaxy around me. Yet sometimes I caught a fleeting glimpse of my former Padawan's mind, as if some remnants of the bond we shared still existed. It was these glimpses that allowed me to piece together the truth behind her betrayal. When my body was finally healed, I awoke from my meditations with the strength to free myself from my makeshift tomb. The galaxy around me had become a very different place. What was once Jedi was now Sith, and already had they turned on one another. I began my search for the being that was once Shauna May, because I knew that out of anyone, it was she who could lead me to you, Revan. I somehow knew you were still alive, and I was right. I am a man who desires his revenge. Nothing more, yet nothing less. They were a necessary sacrifice. I needed something to coax Shauna May, and by extension, you out of hiding. It was not the result of this sacrifice, but the act itself which had purpose. The moment it happened, its tragedy was echoed across the currents of the Force. Ultimately, this echo was detected by Shauna May. Tragedy is commonplace, and each leaves its own imprint on the Force. Shauna May could only detect the disturbance because of who perpetrated it, her own master. Ask, and I will answer. I have learned much of the Brotherhood of Shadow from the artifacts' remains and the writings within this temple. They are not a force to be trifled with so lightly. The Brotherhood of Shadow was a faction within the Sith that originates from ancient times, when the Sith themselves were an actual species rather than merely an ideological view held by the corrupt. During an invasion of Korriban by an advanced race of aliens who referred to themselves as the Infinite Empire, the Brotherhood of Shadow was a faction of individuals that served the Sith King exclusively as a sect of highly skilled warriors and assassins. It is said that the strategies and tactics the Brotherhood of Shadow pioneered on that ancient battlefield was what ultimately brought about a victory for the Sith, despite the Infinite Empire's greater numbers and advanced technologies. This artifact you speak of, the one that you destroyed, its origins do not lie with the Sith, but rather with the Infinite Empire that tried to enslave them. The artifact seems to have been used as a form of punishment for the corrupt, one that separates mind from body and then casts it into imprisonment. It probably came into the Sith's possession around the time of the failed invasion. The ancient Sith were once ruled by a single man, a wise and powerful king named Addis. Under his rule, the Sith were a prosperous and honorable species who had ambitions to expand their influence across the stars, to create a galactic society based on principles not too dissimilar from the Ichanis. But these ambitions were quashed after Addis sacrificed himself to save his people from the enslavement of the Infinite Empire. Addis's Sith believed him to be immortal, and that his rule would thus be eternal. When Addis was killed, they were unprepared to deal with the vacuum of power that was created. At first, it was assumed that Addis's advisors, the Sith King's proclaimed successors, would be the ones to lead the Sith into the future, to claim the riches of an unknown galaxy, using the technology they had acquired from the Infinite Empire. Yet Akira Khan Sin, leader of the Brotherhood of Shadow, believed himself to be the one who should lead the Sith, and so he betrayed Addis's designated successors in an effort to install himself and his sect of assassins as the unchallenged rulers of the Sith peoples. Ultimately, the Brotherhood of Shadow was defeated, and their insurrection quashed. As punishment for their betrayal, Akira Khan Sin and his Brotherhood of Shadow were condemned to imprisonment within the Infinite Empire's artifact. It is there they would spend an eternity reflecting on the corruptions that had consumed them. Akira Khan Sin was the Sith who led the Brotherhood of Shadow, a faction of warriors and assassins who pioneered the strategies and tactics which ultimately defeated Korriban's alien invaders. He was said to be a charismatic figure, a powerful force user, and skilled in the arts of combat. When the Infinite Empire invaded Korriban, boasting advanced technologies and superior numbers, it was clear to Akira Khan Sin that they would never be victorious if the war was fought using an approach that relied solely upon brute force. Thus, the Brotherhood of Shadow was born, a sect of elite Sith warriors that chose to forsake the individualistic nature of their species and see themselves as a single entity, an entity that answered only to the Sith King. Whilst the Sith King's armies weathered the wrath of the Infinite Empire, it was the Brotherhood of Shadow that covertly waged a silent war behind the enemy's own lines, decimating its tactical and strategical competence by assassinating the key military figures responsible for coordinating the planetary invasion of Korriban. The repercussions of this silent war were soon felt as the Infinite Empire's armies began to collapse upon themselves in the absence of an effective command. Whilst personally leading the armies which bore the full might of the Infinite Empire, Addis, the king of the Sith, was killed. A dying King Addis entrusted the burden of kingship to be spread amongst his most trusted of advisors, proclaiming them the rightful successors to his rule. This move angered Akira Khan Sin, who believed himself to be the one worthy of leading the Sith peoples. After his insurrection was stopped, the rightful rulers of the Sith designated that Akira Khan Sin and his Brotherhood of Shadow be condemned to imprisonment within the Infinite Empire's artifact. The artifact itself was a crude device, not suited to harboring beings who wielded power on the scale of the Brotherhood of Shadow. I suspect as generations passed, Akira Khan Sin had learned how to interfere with the workings of the artifact from within, allowing him to gradually impose his will upon the great void that imprisoned him. But considering his physical body had long since been destroyed, he was unable to escape the artifact, only managing to project himself as a specter into our reality when an individual was foolish enough to tamper with the artifact. And even then, in our world, without the power of the artifact to provide for him, his spirit would have to leech from the life force of the living to fuel and maintain his presence here. The physical bodies of Akira Khan Sin and his Brotherhood of Shadow have long since been destroyed by the ravages of time. To exist in this reality, the spirits of these ancient warriors would have to assume control of actual living people. Hosts, if you will. But the true difficulty lies not with simply finding a host, but rather with finding a suitable host. In life, Akira Khan Sin was a powerful being, and so requires the body of an equally powerful subject. In his eyes, you would have seemed the most suitable of subjects to serve as the physical body for the Brotherhood of Shadow. The Temple of Shadow is an ancient and forgotten structure built by King Addis's designated successors to house the artifact which the Brotherhood of Shadow was imprisoned within. Constructed out of materials scavenged from a captured enemy temple, it also became the focal point for the Brotherhood of Shadow's power. Whilst it is true that through your actions the artifact was destroyed, the spirits trapped within survived. Within you, Revan, a Duros named Mechanic and Shana May are the remains of the Brotherhood of Shadow. When the artifact was destroyed, the Brotherhood of Shadow's fractured remnants penetrated all who had witnessed their destruction with intentions to leech from their life force in an effort to survive. Scattered and weakened, these remnants must be returned to the focal point, the place in which its essence can be restored and its power once again made whole. The focal point is this very chamber, the heart of the Temple of Shadow. The ritual I have performed on each of you, its purpose was to siphon the Brotherhood of Shadow's remnants from within you and allow them to be reunited. The raw concentration of energy that you see before you is for all intents and purposes the Brotherhood of Shadow. With its power reunited, all that remains for them is to find a means to exercise that power. A host. The power of the Brotherhood of Shadow lies in the ability to summon forth these creatures of betrayal at will, and only one, the dominant will, may exercise that power. When the Brotherhood of Shadow is introduced to a new host, the existing dominant will of the Brotherhood must confront and defeat the will of this host. The victor is granted the Brotherhood of Shadow's power, yet also suffers a loss of identity when they become its personification. Since ancient times, and more so since their imprisonment, the Brotherhood of Shadow, rather than seeing themselves as a group of individuals united by a cause, see themselves as merely a single entity. These beliefs were personified in the Brotherhood of Shadow's mantra, the Code of the Shadow. Ask, and I will answer. Then, at last, it is time. Shauna May, once an individual with an identity to call her own, now nothing but a hollow shell, yet she can still be salvaged of use. She will become the Brotherhood of Shadow's host. When the reunited essence of the Brotherhood is introduced to her body, her hate-filled spirit will gradually be consumed by Akira Khan's sin, the dominant will. Yet the power traditionally wielded by that dominant will shall no longer be theirs to grasp when they have fully consumed the spirit of their new host. Instead, through the forced bond of master and apprentice, that power will be transferred to me. I will claim the Brotherhood of Shadow's power, yet I will not become their personification. I will retain my identity. I will remain Darius Solomon. So long for this day, my mind and my body are prepared to face you, to defeat you. Awaken, Shadow, and claim your prize of flesh. The process has begun. The Brotherhood of Shadow's power is being transferred to my body. Soon I will have what I need to finally attain vengeance.
I can feel the Brotherhood of Shadows power penetrating my body. I need The process is nearly complete. The power is nearly mine. Just a little longer. Just a little longer.
Sarah, it's me, Kobayashi. You've got to wake up. You've got to break the bond. I know you can do it. I know you can beat this thing. I know you've had a tough life, but you're still strong. You can still fight. I saw that on the horizon. I see it now. The truth is, I know what it's like to lose everything too. I was once a different Kobayashi. I was once a Jedi. Look into yourself, past the hatred, past the lies. Don't you see? We're the same. We're the same.
Randi I chawa tongbola Johnny Gu, Yumawamanibo Lora Waisha Waga Shichi.
Trust me, you don't want to know.
No. The connections have been broken prematurely. The Brotherhood of Shadow can no longer claim its host, and I can no longer claim their power. My power.
Hachu apanki, Jishawa anibong ka sha chonasi ichua byongbo Johnny, Minamambato mule ra, Hakugri katkota parabola. Dong abuk shami no nok.
Hey, well, don't mention it. To be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure out how I actually got through to you. It's been a long time since I felt the Force strongly enough to actually do anything with it.
Hachu apanki, Jishawa anibong ka sha chonasi ichua byongbo Johnny, Dopayumas pasen lapti non goto.
I can't say I've heard the term, but I was never the best Jedi. My master was a great woman, a bit like you in more than a few ways. Stubborn, but a great warrior. But they say a Jedi's life is sacrifice, and my master's was no exception. She lost her life one day as we fought to defend a settlement from a pirate raid on some obscure planet you've probably never heard of in the Outer Rim. I failed her because the Force failed me. It turned away from me, so I returned the favor. I was all alone. I was captured by the pirates who had slaughtered my master and too stricken with grief to do anything about it. I figured it was all over. But then he came.
Mucho shakapaga.
My savior. The man who I owe my life. Damon Drexel. He found me, killed my captives, and took me as his own. He was on the run back then, having just fled from the Sith in a stolen Republic ship he named the Orion. He sought a new life, a life which I admit appealed to me, so I joined him.
Hakuji kopa? Gino mularak kampiak slimjo puanwandwana?
Damon Drexel saved my life. Had he not disappeared, I'd still be with him now.
Randi I chawa tongbola Johnny Gu, Yumawamanibo Lora Waisha Waga Shichi.
Solomon. Is he dead?
Ni bajoni yo la wish. Dopayumas pasen lapti non goto.
I think we should postpone this until later. We still have the Brotherhood of Shadow to worry about.
Hachu apanki, Jishawa anibong kasha, Jonasi, Ichua byongbo Johnny, Minamambato mule ra, Hakugri katgota parabola, Kakin cha na guat na bon con, Wanakumbes, Chi pala mulek, Tonki pa na nonek, Tu nik don chun chun ke nemolek rabest, Ufmala nibo kurk.
I think we're getting a little bit over our heads, people. This structure is massive, and all we have are simple weapons.
Kakin cha na guat na bon con, Wanakumbes, Chi pala mulek, Tonki pa na nonek, Tu nik don chun chun ke nemolek rabest, Ufmala nibo kurk.
I'm always one to suggest ideas when I get them, but this time, I've got nothing.
Ucho Apanki. Wanga kun best opiki kunyana. Tong patok smaktelia.
You got what? You've got what?
Uba patu konchi. Tong nongbong shang yungyang. Tong patok smaktelia.
You were carrying explosives all this time? And you didn't think to tell us? To warn us?
Yatuka ulwan kinkun na ba murira. Rachikun. Mucha shakpangpa. La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wana kun best chingpa marulira. Tok chingbang non kek. Tok ninja murira rabes. Uba patu konchi. Tong nongbong shang yungyang. Tong patok smaktelia.
That's great. We can destroy this chamber. We can destroy the Brotherhood of Shadow.
Kuyabi just kuna jiktanai. Ina kun ba marulira rachikun. Slimo patona. Undi hadonga chihonkabi. Uba patu konchi. Tong nongbong shang yungyang. Tong patok smaktelia.
No, there has to be another way. Nobody has to die. Not here. Not after all we've been through.
Kuyabi just kuna jiktanai. Ina kun ba marulira rachikun. Slimo patona. Undi hadonga chihonkabi. Uba patu konchi. Tong nongbong shang yungyang. Tong patok smaktelia.
Master, I will stay. I shall be the one to detonate the thermal charges.
Verbal? No, you can't. You'd be destroyed. And without your memory core, I wouldn't be able to rebuild you.
Master, I am a droid. Model S0Z3. A non-organic machine composed of steel and wiring. You're a living being, with a life of significance and fulfillment ahead of you. It is a harsh truth for me to accept, but your existence is more important than mine.
La boda ni winki smaktoma. Wana kun best chingpa marulira. Tok chingbang non kek. Tok ninja murira rabes. Uba patu konchi. Tong nongbong shang yungyang. Tong patok smaktelia.
Thank you, Verbal. Thank you for everything. I'll never forget you. That I can promise you.
Master, despite your imperfections and flaws, I have found you to be an insightful character. You must keep yourself functional, at all costs.
Don't worry, Verbal. I may be incapable of many things, but looking after myself is luckily something I'm good at.
Kun kili no ba!
Shadow, grant me your power. Use my body to do what I alone could not.
Kudu, Tunirama na prakat donkod sercha, chupapanki.
Smilia, Tonghai Saks Wamaji, Yuma Lipa Ak Inkokun, Uba Batu Konchi, Yutuka Halua, Kuya Mi Juice, Kuchitana, Ichuta, Tonghai Wamaji Ak Inkokun, King Kun Jabishok, Jomasu, Don King Bano Kunne, Tonghai Eldas Wamaji, Yutuka Halua, Tonghai Eldas Wamaji, King Kun Jabishok.
Pudu, Tony Rama na praka donko searcha chupapanki.
King Kun Jabishok.
Dong abuk shami no nog.
Uba Batu Konchi, Yutuka Halua, Kuya Mi Juice, Kuchitana. Jomasu, Etrua Pinki, King Kun Jabishok, Chona Mulira, King Banu Kun Neklota, Shakti King Watawama Mulira. Ayuatapa Genki Dora. Shiska to Suki Kuba Nora Night Country. Shika Jeep Diman. Yuma Lifa Hakingo Tu. Uba Batu Konchi. Noba Mulara. Jilai Kunka. Ichuta. Tonghai Wamaji Hakingo Tu. King Kun Jabishok.